loud enough?
Yes. Yes.
Good afternoon once again. That was a sumptuous lunch, and I was just telling ma'am, that the lunch did not do me very good. It kind of puts us off to sleep later on. Anyways, thank you so much for the introduction. So, just to carry on with what you said, the beauty queen thing, it was more of challenging myself, which I believe that each one of us has a little thing in us, just waiting to be released. And we tend to, because of the social pressure, we tend to subdue it a little bit. So, it's just that either somebody kicks you or you kick yourself. Just step ahead, get out of the box, and it will be unbelievable that what you can achieve. That's actually going to be unbelievable. You will surprise yourself. That's what I did with myself. So that's where I am. Giving a very short introduction, I've been in this training industry for about 25 years. Being very, very closely associated with students, freshly out from 12, 10, even 8 for that matter also, feeling completely directionless. Not because there is less to do, there's more to offer, right? And the main issues that we have out here is everybody screams about no jobs in the market. I'm sure we've all heard that, right? No jobs in the market. But I have all the HR sitting here. Do you think there are no jobs in the market? Is there anybody out here who says there's no job in the market? Any one of your, the organization that you're representing, is there anybody who says there's no job in the market? Your company does not have a job opening? Is there anybody out here? Okay, so hence proof there are jobs in the market. Problem area is, like what was mentioned, skilled manpower. Is the skilled manpower, that's where the problem is. We have thousands. Otherwise, if it was not about the skilled manpower, we would not have companies like TCS, CDS, Infosys, IBM, so on and so forth, doing those multiple rounds of online assessments where you have thousands and thousands of students across India who are applying for it, who are studying for it, and out of which you probably just a handful of them who actually clear it. And out of that handful, you have this filtered lot that goes into what we call as the HR interview. That's what it is called. Or you have this campus interviews. I'm sure you guys would know about it. Many of you could have gone through it also. They would call it campus drives, where the campus is driving everything. Trust me, it is. The campus tells them, I will call everybody from all the colleges, but my students should be selected. That's the terms and conditions. So that's not very pleasant revelation, but yeah, we're all in the rat race, aren't we? And unfortunately, the generation below us, the next generation I would say, the ones who are supposed to make our future better, are actually in that rat race and scrambling. They're running over each other. They are running, directionless. They don't know what they want to do, right? Offers a lot. Unfortunately, in this world of internet, the information is so much. It's humongous. And they don't even know which information they should actually take, which one they should leave, which one they should absorb, and which they should completely ignore. And it's even more unfortunate that we people as mentors are running short on hands to guide them. So coming back to what I'm trying to do is, I'm trying to bridge in a little bit of a gap between academics and the industry. So academics, I am like the bridge in between, but I think I have small little links which is missing. Though I feel I have all the links with me, I feel that I have all the right Legos fitting in everywhere. But I think this was a beautiful forum that I could be part of, where I could have the HR sitting in front of me and help me understand, and of course share your thoughts behind it also, and help me learn more. Yes. It's not working?
It's coming in and out.
No? Hello? Okay. I don't know what I said before this, so do you want me to repeat it? Okay. Anyways, so coming back to it, I would like to understand, like I said, I assume I know what are the things that are required by the HR. But I would like a little bit of help from each HR that is sitting out here to help me understand that when you sit and interview somebody as a prospective employee, what is that one skill that you're looking at? That you feel that this is a cut above the rest? Can somebody help me with it?
Passion.
Passion. Okay, that's fine. Good.
Attitude.
Attitude. Wonderful. Okay. Yes.
I recently went for an examiner, practical exam as an outside facilitator in one of the universities for an MBA, though I am not an MBA. The subject was HRIS. And what I was looking for was applicability. They knew all their theories, they knew how to do things on paper. But if I give them an Excel or give them an HRIS, they were not able to apply it. Or if I asked them whatever laws they read, what were the applicability, they were not able to.
They were absolutely blank.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else? Yes.
Competencies.
Competency. What kind of competency? Are we talking about technical competency? Are we looking at
Specific skill set you have.
okay, specific skill sets in regard to the job role?
Yes.
Okay. Anything else from anywhere? Yes.
So we look for persona and integrity. We believe everything else can be taught.
Okay, so integrity, ethos,
That was
etc.
the first.
Yeah. Okay. Anything else?
Zeal of learning.
Zeal of learning. Wonderful. Okay. I'm actually feeling happier because I feel that my direction has been perfectly fine. My pathways has been great. Anyone else who would like to put in something?
I think communication skills, written and communication skills. is
Okay,
very, very
wonderful. All right. So I think all in all, thank you so much. All in all, what I would gauge is it is the life skills or the soft skills that we are looking at. Right? We are actually weighing attitude heavier than aptitude. Are we? Right? How there's been a huge boom in terms of technology. So we have colleges which are filled with BTech students. They're doing computer science, they're doing IT, they're doing electrical engineering, they are doing electrical information, they're doing mechanical engineering, civil engineering. But by the end of the day, they don't know why they're doing it. And trust me, that's an answer I get. When I walk into a seminar and I am addressing students of final year BTech, when I ask them, why are you doing what you are doing? The vaguest of answers, because everybody in my house is a BTech. So I have to be a BTech. I can't be something else. Because there's more scope, because the world is going, globally we are advancing, technically, so I should be part of it. So to be part of it, I should be a BTech. So if I'm not going to be a BTech, I'll be out of the race. I'll be jobless. Nobody would want to hire me. I will not be able to support my family, and so on and so on. Some of the answers are, which is even more vague, because if I'm a BTech, I get a better marriage proposal. That still exists. Trust me, it still exists. Because this was a very recent answer I got. And from a guy, not from a girl. So, what I'm trying to tell out here is the weightage of academics that we are getting. How much of a weightage of academics, and probably that is the reason why, we keep on blaming academics, which is partially right, I would say. However, I do agree to it that where we are talking about things like AI, we have students in colleges who are still learning C, C++, Java, which is completely outdated now. Nobody even talks about it, right? Also for the fact that we are talking about HR, you guys would be knowing about all the dashboarding softwares, BI, Tableau. You have the Google dashboarding, right? There are so many of them. How do you expect the students to do that when they don't even know how to work on an Excel? Very rightly what you said. You open an Excel sheet. Trust me, whatever they write in the resume is like my skills, in MS Office is 4 out of 5 in MS Excel. You open a sheet and give it to them. Besides typing into it, they won't know anything else. They can't copy, they can't cut, they can't filter, they can't, even the most basic of the things. How are they going to work on dashboarding? How will they work on a software like Tableau? Tableau is just entering India and it's exiting from the other side of the world. The next software that is coming in is Encarta, which probably a lot of people have not even heard of it. Tableau is exiting. And our students are now getting exposed to Tableau. So, all in all, when we are talking about this, what we are trying to do is we are trying to bridge in that gap. We are trying to bridge in the gap in various aspects of it. Very much we give a lot of emphasis on the life skills, the soft skills, the communication. Because we do understand, if you are open to learning, we are ready to teach you. Every company has their own policy, every HR has, every company tells the HR that you have to train candidates for X number of months or weeks, right? But then for that, the candidate has to be open-minded. They have to understand that I need to unlearn to learn. Very rightly said that, whatever has been done in the books is gone, it's finished. We are still trying to teach students history, which I can Google. I don't need to learn history now. I just need to Google my history. I don't need to have, I don't need to memorize my tables anymore. I have it at the, in my hand, in my palm, basically my phone, my calculator, my Excel sheet, everything is there. I don't need to count my data. I have softwares that can work on my data. I need to teach the students more. And that's what the academics need to do. But then that is where we come in, because the universities or the academic industry does not allow it actually, because of their heavy commitments towards academics, because everything is about marks. What was your CGPA? That's your first question. 10th result done, what was your CGPA? 12th result, what was your CGPA? Anything below 8 is considered as put away, not to be talked about. Isn't that quite obvious? That's why we have 100% cutoff for colleges. How do they score that? It's still a question to me actually. I really don't know how do they score it. Because I remember during my time, I was very happy even if I just passed. It used to be celebration time. I passed. It used to be tough, super tough. But it's like a cakewalk nowadays. I won't really question the academics or anything for that matter. But what we are trying to do is, we are trying to understand from your perspective that what are the technologies. We have talked about the life skills, we are trying to talk about technology now. Because what I see is, I see students running helter-skelter everywhere, trying to learn everything. Whether you talk about robotics, whether you talk about artificial intelligence, you talk about Python, you talk about the languages, you talk about just any technology. They are running almost everywhere. Delhi and Noida are hubs for training academies. We all know that, right? Why are they minting that money? Because the students are absolutely clueless about what what the organization is looking for. If we are able to pinpoint a small little thing that I am looking for some, it can be something that is, already listed out to the universities. We want students to be trained in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 technologies. They are only to concentrate on that. They are going to get value, quality, and definitely it is going to save them a lot of energy. And let's not forget about the money. There's a lot of money that's coming out of the parents' pocket. One digital marketing program costs nothing less than 40,000 for a student. Sorry, not the student, the parent. Right? One candidate comes from Nainital to Delhi to do a course on Python. It's a 40-day course, out of which 20 days he will not attend because he's going to be busy exploring Delhi. 20 days he'll be there, out of which 10 days he'll be half sleepy, and the next 10 days he will be there just to complete certain portions of the project and cut, copy, paste all the projects from here, and by the end of it he's going to get a certificate. I'm sure the HRs would not like to employ them. Because you are definitely going to know for sure that this was not the candidate what I bargained for. That's why we have HR interviews, to know, I think Sir had asked a very beautiful question, is AI going to take over HR? AI will ask the question, but the HR will be able to pinpoint exactly that this guy is lying.
True. That's true.
This guy has a certificate, but that is just a piece of paper. Nothing else. Which is easily available. And trust me, it's available. Having been in the industry, with colleges and universities and the various training organizations where it is only a tick in the box to do an activity. And certificates are given out. So we do understand your paid areas and we are trying to be the enablers. So with this entire thing that is happening, what we are trying to do is, see, there is a demand, there is a supply, right? And there are enablers. Okay? So you have the demand aggregators, and we have the supply aggregators that are sitting there, and we have the enabler aggregators here. Okay? We are trying to figure out what we can do to make your work easy. So generally what we are into is every college, every university that we tap into. I also happen to be an advisory board member with AKTU, that's Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam Technical University. So we work on certain courses and everything for the students. So hence we do understand where the gap areas are, whatever little that we can help them out with. But yes, what we are also trying to do is we are trying to provide them with a lot of online courses. Yes, it is very, very difficult to get these candidates into online courses. However, that is one of the endeavors. So when we are talking about the demand, supply and the enablers, we are trying to collaborate with an organization which is already rampantly made their presence felt in various parts of the world. Okay, so it's a platform that is being built up to connect all three. Connect all three in a way like, for example, the demand is basically for the hirers. So all the companies will be putting up their requirements on that particular platform. The seekers, the job seekers, the prospective people who are looking for jobs are going to be enrolled in there, and the e-profiles are going to be available. And the enablers, that is we, are going to be there, and not just one. There are going to be multiple of them. You can pick and choose from there. And this is going to be not just a platform for students, it is going to be a platform for the companies, for the corporates as well. Why for the corporates is because we are going to try and help you. I think we had Sir out here who in the initial stage mentioned that what do I do if I just have 5 people in Noida? What do I do with just 8 people in Gurgaon? And your head office is somewhere else. And very rightly said by ma'am that we need to do internal training. We need to work from inside out. We need to train ourselves first. We need to train our internal people first before we step out and train the others or have an expectation from others. But how do we do that when we have smaller teams dispersed everywhere? So the organization where I was working in earlier, I had a very small team in Noida, and we always felt left out. Because all the party was happening in the head office. You know, all the beautiful, you know, trainings used to be happening in Lonavala, and you could see all the pictures and see everything happening. And we were like those adopted children, you know, somewhere in the corner of one country, you know, one state, and not be part of it, not being able to be part of it, because no company would want their branch to shut down for 3 days. Not their fault either. However, there are other ways to upscale, where you can bring in assessment partners, right? You adopt a certain kind of assessment partner where you have platform, you know, you have those online platform learning, right? With Sir mentioning about POSH, you know, it brought in a beautiful idea to me that why is it that we wait for people to get employed to teach them about POSH or to train them about POSH? This is something that we should be doing in the colleges and the universities. Because that's not where the only place where you have sexual harassment. You have it in the colleges and universities as well. And it's better that you train them there, make them aware before they step into the corporate, so that, you know, the corporates are not burdened with one more work of training them on how to behave in the corporate. So thank you for that idea. Coming back to it, we are trying to make these things available for the corporates as well as for the students, for the colleges and the universities, where they are going to be able to introduce a lot of online courses and industry specific, department specific, and a lot of customizable products, where it is going to be where you can get your candidates, enroll in it, upskill themselves, take an assessment which every HR out here can take out the result and probably staple it to your appraisal letter. That can be one of your way of doing a self, when you talk about upskilling yourself, here you're forcing them to upskill themselves, because trust me, being complacent is a very, very human thing. I'm a manager. I've been in the company for 5 years. I'm the boss. Complacency. It falls into everybody. Everyone. So my brother works in an organization which is in Singapore, and they have to undergo trainings every year. Without the trainings, your appraisals don't happen. It just doesn't happen. Till the time your results don't come in, they are not going to look at your appraisal form. I don't know how possible it is, but I guess it is all in our hands. The stricter we get, the more, process oriented we get, the more better results we get. All in all, what I would say is that I would love to connect with each one of you and understand what are your requirements, because when we train students, we try to connect with HRs to bring in those students to you. So instead of you reaching out to various organizations and tell them I have a requirement of 5 people or 10 people, 15 people, I bring an entire gamut of it, in your mailbox. And then after that, it's your baby. We are trying to bridge in that gap and, actually eradicate that statement, no jobs. We are trying to upskill the candidates according to you. What your requirement is, something really, really basic. And bring them at your doorstep so that you are going to have a better time recruiting. You're not going to, because I know it's very, very painstaking. I've seen companies, the HRs going, traveling to all directions and, even to the remotest of the areas for recruitment. They have 500 people standing there. And out of which, if they try hard, they just land up with about 50. Not because they don't want people. It is because they can't find the people. And it's not just sad on, it's not just sad on the state. It is, that particular state of affairs. but it is also extremely, disheartening to see the students who come all the way from different places with the dream of getting a job today, and the HR sitting there with a constraint. I'm sure they were there for a purpose, and you were there for a purpose too. So we want to make that purpose happening. So that's where our job is. I would love to, share more of the details about the platform that we're going to be working on, and how it is going to make it more reachable, how you will be able to reach out to each and every employee of your company, irrespective whether it's 2, 20, 200 or 2000, and make them all feel united together. It's very, very important, like the way she said, that it's important that every department handshakes with each one of them. Everybody has to be synchronized. The day the synchrony ends, that's when you need a company coming in and do team building activities for the company. An offsite activity, you'd have team building activities, and you have a picnic, and you have, a team bonding. But if that's done right from the very beginning, it's never needed. And I truly believe that, it is a beautiful way of working. I have worked in very big organizations where we've had like 23, 24 branches around India, and it's tough, no doubt. It's very, very tough. But I think with a little bit of effort as an HR, as an employee, as a person who's willing to take ownership, each and every one, it makes a lot of difference. So I think I can wind up here. Thank you so much. If there's anybody who wants to, yes.
See, today is Saturday.
Yes.
We are off.
Yes.
I am here because I have a motivation that I should learn something. So I am here. Everybody, here to come here, to even though they have a lot of social responsibility, for their families, still they are here to learn something. It is just asking this question, narrating these things. When I prepare a training program for my employees, they used to disassociate, or they are not willing to attend training on Saturday and Sunday. They used to say that, please keep it in working days. So it is they are not, it is not in my organization, even before this organization also, I face the same kind of challenges. So in your view, how it can be addressed, how it can be make them a part of that, they can learn things. I tried my best to motivate them that I am giving the money, I am giving the everything. You just go there, attend in a hotel, a good hotel, attend and get the knowledge. Still, they are not motivated. So, what is in your view? How to motivate them? How to make them attend in weekdays like Saturday, Sundays?
Okay. So firstly, what I would like to say is that, when an organization is, nominating somebody for a training program, okay, firstly, why a person would disassociate themselves is when they have a certain disconnect with the organization. That I truly believe, because if I am just working for the heck of working, what was said, passion. If I don't have the passion in what I'm doing, I am not willing to step out of the box. I am happy with my 9 to 5, go back home, watch my TV, whatever that I need to do, and that's about it. That's what I'm getting paid for, right? So that passion needs to be driven. That's one. And second is, what I think is that instead of just nominating a person, what everybody craves for is a little bit of an appreciation. I don't know. I mean, that's what I have felt. You can please let me know if I'm right or wrong. A little bit of an appreciation that out of these many people, this is the person who has been nominated the most by the team to attend this particular training for XYZ reason. So what happens with that is that the person feels special. And when the person feels special and it is already announced, I guess that becomes more of a compulsion.
This I have done actually in each department has nominated only one person. Still, I did not find even one person who can willing to attend training on Saturday. Number one. Number two, training we are fixing up on two ways. One is appraisal basis. When appraisal is doing, what training needs to be given to the employee, we are taking that one. And in the midway, we used to ask each and every employee what they require. Whether some people, some employees, they used to say that advanced Excel is my I want to learn advanced Excel. Even those things also I have arranged, but they have never come out on Saturdays and Sundays.
Okay.
They want only on the working days. I have forced to do that. Then actually I have arranged on Thursday and Friday like that, near to my office.
Okay. So can there be some kind of compensatory off that can be given to them? Yes, sir.
I think that's why positive attitude is the first and foremost thing when you employ anybody.
Absolutely.
That's the very first thing. And then of course for everybody, they look for WIIF. What's in it for me? We always try to tell them how organization will be benefited. Nobody is interested. They say, what's in it for me? That you have to show them, and before that, in any case, positive attitude. If you hire a person with positive attitude, even if he is average, he will learn everything. He'll do everything for you. But you hire real experts, very good, excellent people, and they don't have positive attitude, what do you gain?
You have rightly said, but the only thing is that we are not only focusing on organization. We want the employee should go to the next level. They should be motivated. They should learn the things so that they can carry with them. If they go into other organization, they can carry with them. They can build that. Yes, so and so person has come from so and so organization. He is very good. It
Correct.
gives a higher level of satisfaction to the organization that so and so person is knowledgeable person. We can hire from that organization. That organization will. That I
Correct.
think that they can carry with them.
I'll give a small example here. In the army infantry part, you're a vegetarian. You don't even take pyaz and lesson. But when you go for a commando course, you have to skin alive a snake and a frog and eat it raw. That is a level of passion which happens, and you never work for the organization, you work for a boss. Right? So if your boss, and she rightly said, makes it so aspirational, the training setup, that you aspire, that you can't shame away from it. That is a combination which is required. You're not working for yourself, you're working for an organization called nation here. And the nation's respect depends on you, and it is instilled from the leadership. So you are a vegetarian, but you will skin alive a snake and eat it raw. That is a level, and I think that is coming now with the job firing and all happening. People understand that, boss, if I don't train myself, AI is going to take my job. That is already there. So you don't have to, we've come to that era. It's a VUCA word. You don't train, you get booted out. You reboot or get booted out. Simple as that. And again, the boss needs to make the team feel so aspirational that we all want to go to the next level. Whoever is not will be left behind anyway. That's life. So that feeling has to come in, and if you've been pampered so much that हाँ मेरे तो सरकारी नौकरी है, हिल ही नहीं सकता, then probably. But then there has to be a carrot and a stick actually in today's world, because a stick is AI. Simple, very very simple.
Also, I'd like to give my perspective. So there are organizations wherein completing certain manners of training is mandatory. So put it in a KRA. Non-achievement of KRA would definitely be a loss for them. So
Very right.
as you said that carrot and stick, so you got to use both.
We have done that. Only thing is that, only problem is that each and everybody there wants to be in working days. That is the main challenge.
KRA, so put it on Saturday, Sunday.
This specific KRA has to be achieved on a weekend only.
So when the social
We have a European culture.
Why you want to disturb his work-life balance?
Exactly.
Why you want to disturb his work-life balance? Sunday, उनका अपना, let them enjoy. If the person is disengaged, in your case, the person is disengaged. He can't connect his personal goal with the organization. जब आपको ये पता चल जाएगा, उनको ये पता चल जाएगा, ये इनके लॉन्ग टर्म के लिए है, तो वो जाएंगे. Otherwise वो नहीं जाएंगे. This is a common phenomenon in Gen Z. जो millennials की बात करते हैं, this is very common. तो आपको ये करना पड़ेगा क्योंकि संडे कोई नहीं तैयार होता. इनफैक्ट इन टॉप लीडर्स वो भी तैयार नहीं होते संडे काम करने को.
I have one more suggestion on that. I'll take another minute. I don't know how much that's possible for you, but they invite families as well, and that happens with like I mentioned, my brother's organization. He does that. So the entire family, I mean each of his team members, their family goes to whichever particular destination that has been decided. So the family has their own recreation going on, and they have their own recreation going on, right? So probably that could be one of the pull factor. It could be like a weekend holiday for them.
It is correct actually. We have implemented that, but it is a team building exercise.
Okay.
Which we have done in near to Bhiwadi, is just outside here. We have done that. It was successful because it was a team building. But here actually focus is on learning of skills.
Okay. So this can be combined. This can be combined. You can have your team building. You can have your you can even have a board meeting. So it's just that the family is having their own time out there, and you can have your schedule it out in such a way. Maybe if it's not 2 days, it's a 3 days. So you have your board meetings, and you have your team building. You have everything else combined with it, which is going to be really great at one point of time. What I have always noticed is when the employees' families come together, the bond becomes better. When the bond becomes better, the company and the department becomes better.
Depend on the organization. Actually, in MSMEs, budget is very important part.
That's correct.
You can understand.
True.
And
they want to tell.
Really appreciate your efforts in university. You are
It is not
working with grassroots.
Always, we cannot carry your family.
True. I agree. I mean, it was just a suggestion that, maybe not too far away, somewhere closer.
Maybe Madhu, one more direction to it probably. So there might be a deep-rooted problem otherwise.
Exactly.
We say that if a flower doesn't grow, so we always blame the flower, not the environment. So at times it is organization culture also which we have not been able to upgrade. So I'll just give an example.
It's not like that. I have already told you. A lot of our employees are from Europe. We have European culture. I know that where is the problem is. So problem is that I already conveyed to my management. We are not kicking out anybody. Even though the lowest one, we used to keep it. We used to train them. We used to make them come out of that level. That is the only problem which I have wanted.
So, I mean, this was what I was trying to put in that, though our efforts are into making, the new hires, the prospective hires of the organizations to be more, better in attitude and to be a little more open to the work environment. We are also opening up an arena for the corporates to be able to work upon the attitude and the aptitude within the organization. So, it is not just working from outside to inside, but it's from working from inside to outside. So, we are trying to help both in this particular platform that we would like to work with. Yes, sir.
About your institution association with the Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam Technical University, nearby 300 numbers of colleges are working with this platform, I believe. And gradually, colleges started practical workshops from industry professionals.
Yes.
So, I would like to recommend, you can recommend from your desk the mandatory part for every institution.
So
about the Excel training or about this.
Yes, sir. So we are doing that. We are, but what we need is we need more hands because it's not just 300, sir. There are about 800 colleges under that university. Now the problem is that if we just have 8 organizations who are willing to accommodate those practical exposures, it would be, probably they'll have to give their employees a holiday, to accommodate that many students. So I would really, like I said, I would really love to connect with each one of you out here, whether it be hospitality, whether it be health, whether it's to do with medicines, whether it's technical, non-technical, all of you guys, to come forward and help us to make your next workforce more competent. And of course, we would love to connect with all of you guys, even for the hiring in future. I'm sure once you connect, the hiring will be a lot easier as well. Right. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you for listening.
I would now like to announce that.
Thanks for watching. Please subscribe to India's first corporate news channel. We invite interviews, articles, press releases from your organization. Visit our portal www.indianconventions.com. Thank you.